else that happened over the weekend. So this has been a long time coming, and this is not a shot at LeBron James. But LeBron now is in, year 22. LeBron, at his best, is going to give you amazing 4 and 5 minute flashes of brilliance. But he cannot be the initiator of the offense anymore. If Luka sits down, he can be. If Luka's playing and LeBron sits down, Austin Reeves also capable of being a playmaker. J.J. Redick finally said the quiet part out loud as the Lakers beat Denver, is that Luka had his highest usage rate as a Laker, and it was his best game. This is how the Lakers should play. Because remember, as great as Kyrie Irving was in Cleveland, he was relegated to a shooting guard with LeBron, and probably should have been. As great as D. Wade was in Miami, he was relegated to off-ball, and he's not a great pure shooter. LeBron has been such a force of nature and so great for so long that everybody wants him to play off-ball, and AD's great, but AD can't be the playmaker. So LeBron's entire career, it's not that LeBron's selfish. I always use a statistic with LeBron James. He averaged like 28 a game his junior year in high school. He could have averaged 60 his senior year. You know what he averaged? 1 more point his senior year. LeBron wants to pass. He likes to be a playmaker. I've always felt he's more Magic Johnson than Michael Jordan. He wants others to score, but he likes to control the offense. Finally, he has a teammate. This is due to 2 things. Luka's a really good playmaker, and LeBron's now 40. So the combination of the two, a transformational young talent in Luka, and the fact that LeBron is older and is great in spurts, but in the Denver game, when LeBron didn't have to be the initiator of offense, his usage rate was only 29%. That's well below his average. Did you also notice since Luka arrived what's happened to LeBron's efficiency? It's gone through the roof. So he's fresh for those flurries late in the round, late in the quarter, late in the sequence, late in the half, late in the game. So this is finally, and now, it's working now. Somebody said this to me years ago, and it was really smart about LeBron. Whenever you play with LeBron, you are playing in LeBron's offense. You just have to figure out. Now, Kyrie got really frustrated with it. But I think LeBron, because of his age and because I think Luka's listen, Kyrie's an all-time talent, but I think he looks at Luka and goes, okay, finally. As much as I loved AD, he's not a playmaker. Luka is, Austin Reeves is, LeBron is, but this is what J.J. Redick said after this win in Denver, and this is the quiet part finally being said out loud.
Luka needs to be the guy that controls the offense. And Bron and AR, because we're going to stagger everybody, they're going to have their times to be on the ball. But all 3 of those guys are very intelligent basketball players, and we can create mismatches. We can get teams in the blender.
Gosh, why is that audio so messed up? I don't know if it's because of JJ or because Colin's in a new studio, because even Colin's audio is all messed up. Definitely all sounds weird. But yeah, listen, when you're LeBron James at this point in your career, you got to evolve your game. And I think he will, because he wants to win. And, everyone's always so obsessed with saying, LeBron needs to have the ball in his hands, or Luka needs to have the ball in the hands. Like, when you realize that when these guys are this special, they can do anything. When you are at the talent of a LeBron or Luka, they can literally do anything. Now, are they willing? That's a different question. That's a different answer. So that's really what it gets boiled down to. I believe LeBron will do whatever he needs, because we even saw LeBron, essentially take a more supportive role in the Olympics. Obviously there was plenty of times when the game was moving, through him, but he was not out there trying to put up the 25 points. He was not trying to be that guy over Steph or KD in some of these key moments. He was very much more of a facilitator than anything. And then again, he picked and chose when there were certain moments when it was like, I got to get to the rim. We got to get 2 points. And I am the best chance we have at getting those 2 points, because I can get to the rim in a way that Steph or KD, etc. cannot do. And so it was so much more strategic. And that's what LeBron's game will slowly evolve, will turn into. I mean, it already essentially is, but he will also be able to get better and better at that. But that also only works when you now have someone like a Luka who you can really rely on putting up 32, 10, 7, et cetera, game after game after game. Because remember, this is LeBron's first time playing at this age. It's always his first time. So as amazing and as great and as special as he is, he still has to figure out what it looks like. This is the first time he's ever played basketball at this age, with this work capacity, with this strength, with this talent, with this coaching staff, with this team around him, with his son being 19 and his other son being 16 and his daughter being whatever. It's always the first step. And so he's always trying to figure out, what does this mean? Now, when he's younger, when he's 27, 28, 29, there's not a lot to figure out, because year 29 is very similar to year 28 and 27. And then when he hit like 31, 32, he's starting to realize, you know what, like, I'm a little bit more sore than I once was, and he's got to figure that out. And now 32 is a lot similar to 34. And so every time he kind of keeps going up there, he has to kind of refigure out. Kobe Bryant kind of talked about this. Talked about when he was younger, he didn't have to do anything. He would just go out there and ball. And now he's very much like, I got to ice myself down. I got to warm myself up. I got to do all this type of stuff. And you have to figure it out. It's continuing to figure out. Not to mention now, how does your game evolve? How does your game change? Because LeBron is still trying to figure out, what I'm noticing, man, when I kind of go hard earlier in the game, like, even if I rest a lot, like, and really kind of shut down at halftime and kind of just chill, I can't seem to recharge that battery, or like, you're trying to figure out the formula for yourself. And that's just an energy formula, not to mention actually kind of like, how can my style of play change based on what this team needs around, what this team needs from me, as well as what the talent is around me, compared to, as well as my energy, recovery. If I'm playing 3 games, in a week, does my first game look like my third game? Or can I do stuff in my first game that I can't necessarily do in my third game, just because of, again, I'm just not as recovered as I once was. Like, it's a juggling act that he is going to continue to have to figure out and refine, but it's going to take him a second. And sometimes he's going to get it right. Sometimes he's going to get it wrong. And sometimes when he gets it wrong, people then use that as an indicator of like, oh, see, he's getting older. He doesn't have it in him anymore. And it's like, no, he's just constantly recalibrating. And it's hard because right now, because of his age, the recalibration happens so much faster. Because right now, at this age, 40 might not really be like 41. And 42 might, because it's kind of more exponential. 28 and 29, nearly identical. 25, 26, nearly identical. 40, 43, it's like, I don't know. What you could do when you were 40 is not what you can do when you're 43. Like, it becomes, that's why they used to talk about quarterbacks, falling off a cliff. Because it's like, kind of like, yeah, I'm getting a little bit older, they get a little bit older, and then kind of things can kind of just snap. Things are just different. And it's pretty cool to watch LeBron figure all this out in real time, and having someone like a Luka, now this type of player, he now has to figure out, okay, how does my game change? How does my game evolve? What does this team need? And then the question is will he be willing to do that? I think he will, because I think at the end of the day, he wants to win more than anything. I think he's slightly aware, but I don't think it matters because of the brand that he's created for himself. I think to some degree, let's say he was able to win another, let's just make up a number. Let's say he was able to make another 5. Let's say he was able to win another 5 rings. Okay. Let's just make up a number here, but he's clearly not the number 1. You will have some people who said, well, MJ won all of his rings as the number 1. But then you'll have other people be able to be like, look what LeBron was able to do. He was able to do something that like no other superstar was able to do. He was able to adapt and evolve, obviously won a ton of rings, played until he was, in this example, deep 40s at this point. It would be such a massive accomplishment that I think, because again, some of these guys, they struggle with not being the guy. And there is a feeling that if they win the ring and they're not the guy, it's like, well, did you really win the ring, or are you just part of the team? And outside of LeBron only playing like 10 minutes and truly just going for the ride, I think he would still get a massive amount of credit, because then there'd also be like, well, Luka wasn't winning with the Mavs, you know, and the Lakers hadn't won in forever, and now look what they're doing. And so I think LeBron would get a ton of credit, and I think LeBron's aware of that. I think the extreme haters or the extreme Michael Jordan fans would still not really give him that as much credit, because they would say, well, oh, LeBron only averaged 23 points, you know, during that finals, and Luka averaged 38, you know, who, and then Luka would probably win the MVP, you know, in this example. Luka would probably win the finals MVPs, and they would say, you know, how do we make sense of that? But I think it would ultimately be a net positive for himself and his brand, which ultimately is what will guide him, honestly, probably more than anything. When LeBron won that gold medal with the Olympics, no one's going to say, well, Steph Curry is the one that made the shot. You know, they're going to be like, no, this is what Steph and KD and LeBron did. They led this team back to greatness. And I think that's what we'll get. And I think ultimately all of these, because LeBron is always aware of the narratives being constructed, and he's trying to construct the narratives himself. And I think ultimately that will guide him. And so I think we're going to continue to see his game evolve and grow and be what this team needs to be. And when you have someone like LeBron being Robin, I mean, like, again, like, what are we talking about here? When you have someone as amazing as someone like LeBron being Robin, it's just like, you know, it's a wrap. Forget about it. You know, it's game over. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about LeBron and Luka, how they complement each other? You know, do you think they're going to be able to really kind of, you know, get to the top and win it all? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.